Hey y'all, welcome to Mr. Global's channel. Once again, happy Independence Day, 4th of July. Before I get started, please hit the like and subscribe. Thank you so much to all of my new followers. In this clip, we're going to talk about corporate tax cuts and tax cuts for the wealthy. What do they really do? And one of the reasons I want to talk about this is because this is one of the subjects, much like oil and gas and energy, that has the most misinformation floating around about it. Yes. It's funny how legislation and policy that impacts the wealthiest of industries and people seem to have the most misinformation floating around about it, just like the oil and gas industry run by billionaires. Well, it's the same with corporate tax cuts. You know, the reason there's the most misinformation floating around about the wealthiest industries and the wealthiest people and what policies and stuff, what impacts they have, is because they have the money to influence perception by spreading misinformation. Not just the United States, but the entire world has been studying this for more than 50 years. And the data is conclusive. There has only been pretty much a few sets of results that have ever come out from huge tax cuts for the rich. The same thing has pretty much happened every time. And this has been studied by universities all around the world. So it's no wonder that universities are being labeled as, liberal brainwash centers, because they counter the misinformation with real data. There has never been a single case in history in a study of 18 of the wealthiest nations where big corporate tax cuts or huge tax breaks for the rich has led to higher GDP, more job growth, wage growth, any of it. It's not a thing. It's never happened. The one thing that has happened in every single one of those cases is the wealth gap, a larger disparity in wealth between the rich and the poor. That is the one consistent thing that has happened every single time. Probably the largest and most popular study that's ever been done about this was done by the London School of Economics, who studied 50 years of trickle-down economics. And what did the study find? If you cut taxes on the rich, they bargain more aggressively for their own compensation at the direct expense of workers lower down the income distribution. And this chart here represents income disparity in the United States, since we started cutting taxes big time on the rich. When did that start? 1980. Now, the red line at the top, those are the rich. And then these two lines, the bottom percentile and the medium income levels. So as you can see, wages have basically grown at about the exact same rate for the bottom 80% of the country, right? Actually, that's 95% of the country is right here. The top 5%, their wages, look how they have grown exponentially more since 1980, the Reagan tax cuts. Now, the idea is if you cut corporate taxes or cut taxes on the rich, they will then use that money to expand their businesses. So let's think about this logically. What do you need to do? What do you need to have in place for your business to expand the way they're talking about? Because it's not just enough for you to have money. There also has to be demand present in the marketplace for whatever item or service it is that you're selling. And let's understand something. Your business is not the only business getting the tax cut. Every single business out there is getting that tax cut. And that is the fatal flaw in that thinking, is that there is enough demand in any marketplace for all of the businesses in a specific country to just grow at these exponential rates. It is a complete impossibility. If there are 1,000 companies that sell widgets and the demand for widgets is X, cutting taxes for corporations does not make the demand for widgets 1,000x. This is something that people that run big businesses and own big businesses understand. Not all companies can expand and grow due to a tax cut. That's not a thing. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard of rent shopping, but rent shopping is a term used to describe how the wealthiest people in a company, the board members, the upper management, how they try to take a bigger piece of the existing pie in compensation through that company. And one of the biggest ways they do this with tax cuts is by using those tax cuts to buy back shares. That is correct. Share buybacks. And in 2018, after the 2017 Trump Tax Cuts and Jobs Act passed, we set a record for the highest value of corporate share buybacks ever in history at over $1 trillion. That is what the corporations did with their tax cuts. Buybacks, share buybacks. They didn't expand their companies, they bought back shares. And they do these share buybacks because they own a lot of equity. They own a lot of stock in these companies. And by buying back those shares and reducing the pool of available shares in any company, you then increase the value of each share of stock. And they own a lot of stock. That is how they enrich themselves. Oh, and by the way, they do it by inflating the thing that delivers them the lowest possible tax rate, the capital gains. Now, the lower and least compensated people in those companies can benefit from that if they own some stock. Now, conservatives say only rich people own stock, but we all know that's not true. The vast majority of people in the United States have a 401k or something going on in the stock market. But the truth is, the bottom 80-90% of those people don't have enough invested in their corporate stock or in, the stock market in general for these share buybacks to have a huge impact on their wealth. And now I'm going to show you this historical U.S. chart, U.S. GDP growth. This starts at 2014. And as you can see, the rate of growth of GDP in the United States does not change one bit after the Trump Tax Cuts and Jobs Act passed. Largest tax cuts in history, according to Donald Trump. GDP doesn't change one bit. Now, the growth in GDP did change after COVID, but that was because we had a drop-off in GDP, so this is a recovery period. And I guess I'll finish with probably the most telling stat. The fact that before the Trump Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was passed, in the last 3 years of the Obama administration, we were creating, on average, 40,000 more jobs a month than we were after the tax cuts passed. As a matter of fact, the last 3 years of job growth under Barack Obama all beat Donald Trump's very best year. There is absolutely no evidence that corporate tax cuts help our economy. It doesn't help GDP. It doesn't help jobs. It doesn't help wages. It's never happened one single time. And we have the data to show this. Unfortunately, the rich have plenty of money to continue pumping all of the misinformation onto the interwebs. Let me know what you think in the comments section. I really appreciate all my new followers. Thank you guys so much. I hope you have a great 4th of July, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks.